The stars above Earth were no longer quiet. Great shadows moved across the void, blocking the light of the sun. Alien fleets had come. Thousands of ships, black and shining, filled Earth's orbit like a wall of metal. They came with firepower strong enough to destroy worlds. They came with confidence, with pride, with arrogance. Inside those alien ships, voices laughed. "Humans are weak," one commander said, his voice full of mockery. "Their world is already broken. They will surrender before we even land." Another alien joined the laughter. "This invasion will not take hours. It will take minutes. Earth will fall, and no one in the galaxy will ever speak of them again." But something was strange. From above, Earth looked calm. The cities were dark. The skies were quiet. No human ships rose to meet the invaders. No missiles fired. No desperate signals for peace or surrender came from the surface. It was silence. Dangerous silence. The aliens expected fear. They expected chaos. They expected humans to beg for mercy. But instead, Earth lay in stillness, like a predator waiting in the grass. A younger alien officer looked at the planet with unease. His claws tapped nervously against the control panel. "Commander, this does not feel right. Why is there no resistance? Why is there no sound? They must know we are here. Why are they so quiet?" The commander only sneered. "Because they are cowards. Because they are broken. Do not worry, officer. Earth is nothing. This world will be our prize." But the young officer did not relax. His eyes stayed on the blue planet below. Something inside him whispered that this silence was not weakness. It was warning. The invasion began. Columns of alien ships broke away from the main fleet and moved toward Earth's surface. Their engines burned the sky, turning night into day as they descended. Soldiers armed with plasma rifles prepared for an easy victory. They expected to see terrified humans running in the streets. They expected to see governments on their knees. They expected to see chaos. But when the ships landed, they found something else. Empty streets. Silent cities. Buildings stood like dead giants, their windows dark. Cars rusted on broken roads. No movement, no sound, no life. The soldiers stepped out, their weapons raised. But no one came. No humans screamed. No humans fought. The commander laughed again. "Look at them. They are already gone. They must have fled in fear. This will be easier than I thought." But then, a sound. Not loud, not clear. Just a small, metallic click. It came from the shadows between the buildings. The soldiers froze. Their eyes scanned the darkness. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed. The commander raised his arm. "Search the area." The troops spread out, moving carefully down the broken streets. The silence pressed on them like heavy chains. Even the sound of their own footsteps felt too loud. The young officer whispered to himself, "Where are they? Where are the humans?" Then another sound. This time, a whisper. Not from one place, but many. From the soars. From the rooftops. From the walls themselves. The aliens stopped. Their weapons shook. The whispers grew louder, closer. It was not alien language. It was human. The first soldier shouted, "Contact!" And before the commander could answer, the street exploded. Hidden mines erupted under their feet. Shadows leapt from the rooftops. Figures in dark clothing appeared, carrying strange weapons, old rifles, even sharpened steel. Humans. They were not running. They were not begging. They were fighting. With fire in their eyes, with rage in their hearts, they struck the invaders without warning. An alien soldier screamed as a blade cut across his armor. Another fell as a bullet pierced his chest. Explosions shook the street as hidden traps went off one by one. The commander's laughter died in his throat. This was no easy conquest. This was no broken world. This was Earth. And Earth was ready. The young officer looked at the chaos in shock. His voice trembled as he spoke the words none of them wanted to hear. "Commander, this is not an invasion. This is a trap." The silence of Earth had been broken. The war for survival had begun. Far away from Earth, on a shining station above a red star, the Galactic Council gathered. It was a hall of power, filled with the rulers of countless alien species. Their banners hung from the high ceiling. Their voices filled the chamber like thunder. And in the center, a giant screen showed the invasion of Earth. Alien commanders watched with hungry eyes. They saw their fleets around the blue planet. They saw ships landing in human cities. And they saw the first explosions, smoke rising from the streets. But they did not understand. They thought it was victory. A reptilian elder, his scales glittering under the lights, let out a deep laugh. At last. The human animals are finished. Their homeworld will burn, and the galaxy will be free of their arrogance. Another council member, tall and covered in silver fur, joined him. It is about time. Humans were always too loud, too bold, too dangerous. Now, they will learn their place. The chamber shook with laughter. To them, Earth was nothing. Just a small world on the edge of the galaxy. Just a race of fragile creatures who had dared to rise too high. One insectoid lord slammed his claw against the table. I warned them years ago. I told them humans will never obey. They will never kneel. And now, look at them. Their silence proves their fear. Their cities will fall before dawn. The council roared with approval. They believed the war was already over. But in the corner of the chamber, one voice was quiet. An old alien scholar, smaller than the others, leaned forward. His eyes glowed with unease. You celebrate too soon, he said softly. The laughter stopped. A reptilian elder turned his sharp head. What do you mean? The scholar spoke slowly, his voice shaking. Do you not see it? Earth has not begged for peace. Their leaders have not called for surrender. No human voice has cried out for help. This silence, it is not fear. It is waiting. The council scoffed. Waiting? For what? A silver-furred general snapped. Look at them. Their armies are broken. Their ships are few. What can they do? They are ants before the storm. But the scholar did not smile. Have you ever watched an ant before the storm? He asked. It does not run. It builds. It prepares. And when the storm comes, the ants survive. The words hung heavy in the chamber. For a moment, no one laughed. For a moment, the rulers felt something they had not felt in years, doubt. But pride is a dangerous thing. The insectoid lord hissed, his mandibles clicking in anger. Enough. Do not poison this victory with your fear. Humans are weak. We are strong. The galaxy will see our power, and no one will dare to rise against us again. The chamber filled with voices of agreement. The council's pride drowned the old scholar's warning. On the great screen, they saw more of Earth's cities. They saw alien soldiers marching through empty streets. They saw humans hiding in the shadows. But they did not understand the danger. They saw resistance as desperation. They saw silence as surrender. They saw traps as weakness. And they celebrated. Wine flowed. Songs rose. The Galactic Council praised the commanders leading the invasion. This will be a lesson to the galaxy, one elder declared. If humans, with all their noise and arrogance, cannot survive us, then no one can. We are the rulers of the stars. But in the corner, the old scholar whispered words no one wanted to hear. You are blind. You do not know them. Humans are not finished. They are only beginning. His voice was ignored, lost under the council's pride. But far below, on the surface of Earth, the truth was already being written in fire. Alien soldiers were dying in traps. Human fighters were rising from the shadows. And the silence of Earth was turning into something terrifying. The council thought they were watching a victory. But they were watching the start of their greatest mistake. The galaxy laughed at Earth. But soon, the galaxy would stop laughing. The first alien ships cut through Earth's clouds like blades of fire. Their engines roared as they descended, shaking the skies above ruined cities. On board, thousands of alien soldiers prepared for the moment they believed would be easy. Their armor gleamed. Their rifles hummed with energy. Their commanders barked orders of confidence. This world is broken, one shouted. These humans will kneel the moment they see us. We will claim this planet in hours. But when the landing ships touched the ground, the soldiers found something unexpected. Silence. The streets of the human cities were empty. Buildings stood tall but lifeless, windows shattered, doors broken. Cars lay abandoned on cracked roads. The wind moved through the ruins like a whisper. The soldiers stepped out carefully, their weapons raised, expecting an ambush. But no humans came. No screams. No shouts. No begging for mercy. It was as if the entire planet had vanished. One alien soldier tapped his commander. "Where are they?" he asked nervously. "We scanned for life signs. This city should be full." The commander grinned, his fangs sharp in the dim light. "They are hiding. They know we are too strong. Soon, they will crawl from their holes and surrender." But deep inside, even the commander felt something cold. This silence did not feel like surrender. It felt like warning. The soldiers marched forward, their heavy boots echoing on the empty streets. Every step seemed too loud, too sharp, too exposed. A small sound broke the air. A clink. Metal striking metal. The soldiers froze. Their eyes scanned the ruins. The sound had come from the shadows. "Report," the commander ordered. But there was no report. No answer. Only silence again. The younger officer, the same one who had warned in orbit, looked around with fear in his eyes. "Something is wrong," he whispered. "They are not running. They are watching us." The commander growled. "Enough. Spread out. Search every building. Find the humans. Drag them out." The troops obeyed, splitting into groups, moving through the silent streets. Doors were kicked down. Rooms were scanned. Basements were searched. Nothing. No one. And then, the first scream. It came from the Eastern squad. A short, sharp cry cut through the air, then ended too quickly. The radios went dead. The soldiers turned their heads. Their claws tightened on their weapons. "What happened to them?" one whispered. Before the commander could answer, an explosion ripped through the street. Flames burst into the air, throwing alien soldiers into the ground. Mines. Hidden under the pavement. The troops staggered, coughing in the smoke. And then the shadows moved. From rooftops, from saws, from the darkness of the alleys, they came. Humans. Not soldiers in perfect uniforms. Not armies in formation. But men, women, and even teenagers, covered in dirt and scars, holding weapons both old and new. Some carried rifles older than the invaders themselves. Some had blades glowing with strange energy. Others carried nothing but fire and rage. They attacked without mercy. Gunfire erupted. Knives cut through armor. Explosions filled the night. The aliens fired back, their plasma rifles spitting green light into the darkness. But the humans moved like ghosts. They struck, vanished, and struck again. One alien screamed as a human dropped from a rooftop, stabbing straight through his helmet. Another was dragged into the shadows, his cries fading into silence. The commander roared. "Hold your ground. They are only insects." But even as he shouted, he saw the truth. These were no insects. These were predators. The humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for survival. For their home. For their families. And they fought like nothing the aliens had ever seen. The young officer's voice shook. "Commander, this is not fear. This is fury." The commander aimed his rifle at the shadows, his claws trembling. "Then let them burn," he growled. But even as the flames rose higher, even as alien blood stained the streets of Earth, he felt the words he had once laughed at return to him. This world was not weak. This world was not broken. This world was a trap. And the trap had just closed. The city burned. Smoke rose into the sky, turning the stars above into a blur of fire and ash. Alien ships circled overhead, their lights cutting through the darkness like the eyes of predators. But down below, in the broken streets, the humans were fighting. Not with fear. Not with weakness. But with fire. Every corner became a battlefield. Every street became a trap. The aliens marched with their glowing rifles, their armored vehicles rolling through the ruins. They fired at shadows, their beams melting walls and burning the ground. Yet no matter how many blasts they fired, the humans did not stop. From shattered windows, bullets rained down. From saws, grenades flew. From rooftops, figures leapt like wolves. The commander shouted for his troops to push forward, but the humans never fought in the open. They struck hard, disappeared, then struck again from another place. It was chaos. Deadly chaos. One alien squad moved through an abandoned subway station. Their scanners showed no life signs. They laughed at the silence. Then the walls exploded. Hidden charges tore through their armor. Humans burst out of the darkness, screaming with fury. The aliens fired wildly, but they could not see clearly through the smoke. One by one, they fell. Above the ruins, another squad moved across a bridge. They thought the road was clear. But beneath the bridge, humans had been waiting. With ropes, hooks, and sheer rage, they climbed up and dragged the aliens down into the black river below. Their screams were swallowed by the water. The young alien officer watched all this with growing horror. They should have been broken, he whispered. Their cities were destroyed, their armies crushed. So why do they fight like this? The commander's jaw tightened. He had no answer. He only knew the truth in his chest. These humans were not fighting for victory. They were fighting because they refused to stop breathing. They fought with old rifles that still fired true. They fought with blades sharp enough to cut through armor. They fought with fire, with stone, with traps made from the ruins of their own homes. And they fought with something the aliens had never seen before. Fury. A fury so deep it burned brighter than plasma. The commander raised his communicator, his voice hard. Call in air support. Burn this city to the ground. Kill everything. High above, alien bombers began to move. Their engines thundered as they dropped massive blasts on the ruins below. Buildings collapsed, firestorms spread, entire blocks turned to rubble. The commander smiled grimly. Now, he growled. Now they will learn fear. But when the smoke cleared, the humans were still there. From the rubble, they rose again. Covered in blood, covered in ash, but still breathing. Still fighting. One alien soldier cried out, "They don't die. They don't stop." And it was true. The humans used the burning ruins as cover. They moved underground, through tunnels and saws, attacking from places the aliens could not reach. The city itself seemed alive, fighting with them, breaking apart under alien fire but taking the invaders with it. The young officer's claws shook. He turned to his commander. "Sir, this is not a battle. This is something else. They are not soldiers. They are everyone." And it was true again. The invaders were not facing an army. They were facing an entire people. Old men, their eyes fierce, carrying weapons from forgotten wars. Mothers, holding rifles as they shielded their children in the shadows. Teenagers, running through the ruins, throwing firebombs with shaking hands. Even the wounded, crawling, dragging themselves forward, refusing to stop fighting. Every human, no matter their age, no matter their strength, stood against the invaders. The commander growled in frustration, firing his rifle into the ruins. This is madness. They should have surrendered. They should have begged. But he knew the truth now. Humans did not beg. Humans did not surrender. They burned with a fire that refused to die. The young officer whispered the words the commander would not say. "Sir, we have woken something terrible. We thought we came to conquer. But maybe we came to our own deaths." The commander looked at the battlefield, his soldiers falling one by one. He thought of the laughter in the Galactic Council. He thought of the pride, the arrogance, the certainty of victory. And for the first time, he felt fear. Because Earth was not breaking. Earth was burning. And in that fire, humanity was only growing stronger. The invasion was no longer a march to victory. It was the beginning of a nightmare. And the nightmare was only just starting. The aliens had expected an easy conquest. But now, hours into the invasion, victory was slipping from their claws. Everywhere they looked, humans kept fighting. Every street became a trap. Every shadow hid an enemy. Every ruined building spat fire back at them. The commander's fury grew. His troops were falling, one squad after another. His soldiers begged for reinforcements, but even when more ships landed, the humans refused to stop. Finally, the commander roared, "Enough. If they will not surrender, we will burn them out." High above, alien bombers began their dark work. Their massive ships unleashed plasma fire, burning entire city blocks to the ground. Skyscrapers fell like trees. The night sky glowed with flames. The ground shook. The air filled with the smell of ash and death. To the aliens, it looked like victory at last. They saw firestorms rising, human shelters collapsing, whole districts reduced to dust. Now, the commander growled, his eyes cold, "They are finished." But he was wrong. Deep below the surface, the humans had prepared. For years, they had dug tunnels, hidden bunkers, secret routes under their cities. While the aliens burned the surface, the humans slipped into the earth, waiting for the right moment. And when the fire above settled, they struck again. Alien squads moved into the ruins, expecting nothing but ashes and bones. Instead, they were met with gunfire from below. Trapdoors opened. Hidden tunnels spat out warriors. Entire alien squads were swallowed into the earth, dragged screaming into the darkness. The commander's eyes widened as report after report came in. His forces were not advancing. They were being torn apart. The young officer, his voice trembling, spoke the words the commander did not want to hear. "Sir, we are not hunting them. They are hunting us." The commander snarled, refusing to admit the truth. "Call more ships. Send more troops. Crush them." And so the aliens poured in more forces, thinking numbers would bring victory. But numbers meant nothing on Earth. The humans knew their land. They knew every tunnel, every broken bridge, every collapsed building. They turned their ruined world into a weapon. A squad of aliens marched across a factory yard only for the ground beneath them to collapse. A hidden chamber exploded, burying them alive. Another squad pushed through a school building. From the shadows of the classrooms, humans emerged, firing with weapons older than the aliens themselves. Not one alien left the building alive. The commander tried to stay calm, but his claws shook as more reports arrived. One city. One human city. And already, hundreds of his soldiers were gone. He could not understand it. How could these fragile creatures fight like this? How could they survive against overwhelming firepower? Then came the message that froze even his blood. "Commander," a soldier whispered through the comms, his voice broken by static. "It's not just the men. It's everyone. The women. The children. Even the wounded. They are all fighting." The commander's chest tightened. He remembered the Galactic Council, laughing, mocking, calling humans weak. He remembered their pride, their arrogance. And now, looking at the battlefield, he felt the truth strike him like a blade. This was no war of conquest. This was survival. The young officer stepped closer, his voice low but steady. "Sir, we should leave. This is not victory. This is a graveyard." But the commander's pride chained him. He shook his head, forcing the words out. "We do not retreat. We do not show weakness. This world will fall." Before he could finish, the sky itself roared. From hidden bases across Earth, missiles shot upward, leaving trails of smoke and fire. They struck the alien ships in orbit, tearing holes in the once proud fleet. Explosions lit the heavens, burning bright enough to be seen from the ground. The soldiers looked up in shock. Their mighty fleet, their symbol of strength, was on fire. One alien whispered in terror, "They were waiting for this. They were waiting for us to come close." The commander's pride shattered as he watched his ships fall. Earth was not the victim. Earth was the trap. And now, the trap was closing. The young officer turned to his commander, his voice barely more than a whisper. "We thought we came to conquer, but perhaps, Commander, we came to die." The commander had no answer. His soldiers stared at him, waiting for orders, but for the first time, he had none. Because in his heart, he understood. The turning point had come. The war was no longer about taking Earth. It was about surviving Earth. And survival was slipping away. The invasion was no longer a march of victory. It had become a nightmare. Alien fleets still circled Earth, but holes were burning in their formation. Explosions bloomed in the black sky as human missiles and hidden weapons tore ships apart. On the ground, the commander raged. He had lost hundreds of soldiers, maybe thousands. Every street, every ruined building became a graveyard. "This is impossible," he snarled. "They are primitives. They should not have this power." But deep down, he knew. The humans were not fighting like primitives. They were fighting like predators. And worse, he felt they had not yet shown their full strength. The young officer's voice was cold with fear. "Sir, what if this is only the beginning?" The words haunted the commander. Then it happened. High above the battlefield, the clouds split apart. A massive roar shook the heavens, louder than any alien engine. The invaders looked up, their eyes wide. Something was rising. From hidden silos buried deep within Earth, from secret bases beneath mountains, from bunkers the aliens had not found, machines emerged. Giant machines. Drones shaped like birds of steel. Tanks built with strange, angular armor. Flying craft no alien had ever seen before, glowing with unfamiliar energy. And leading them all were strange weapons, massive cannons mounted on moving platforms, their barrels shining with a blue-white light. The commander's eyes widened. What are those?" The young officer answered in a whisper. "Their secret." Then the sky burned. The strange cannons opened fire, beams of energy ripping through the heavens. Alien ships were cut in half, exploding into fireballs that lit the night. Drones swarmed into the skies, moving too fast for alien turrets to track. They cut through the invaders with precision, striking weak points, targeting engines, tearing apart warships piece by piece. The alien soldiers on the ground watched in horror as their once mighty fleet was shredded. The air itself trembled under the roar of battle. But it was not only machines. From the tunnels, from the bunkers, from the ruins, they came. Human soldiers, but not like before. These wore armor of steel and black glass. Their eyes glowed through helmets. Their weapons fired bursts of light instead of bullets. The commander realized the truth. These were not desperate fighters with old rifles. These were warriors equipped with technology no one in the galaxy knew humans possessed. The humans had hidden it. They had kept it secret. And now, they had unleashed it. One armored human raised his weapon and spoke through a voice that echoed like thunder. "This is our home. You will never take it." The words carried across the battlefield. Even the aliens understood them. Then the slaughter began. The armored humans moved like shadows, cutting down invaders with perfect precision. Every shot found its target. Every strike broke through alien defenses. Alien troops panicked, firing wildly, but their weapons were too slow. Their armor was too weak. The young officer's claws shook. He whispered, "We thought they were hiding because they were weak, but they were hiding because they were waiting." The commander stared at the battlefield, his pride breaking piece by piece. His fleet was burning. His soldiers were dying. And the humans, far from surrendering, were only growing stronger. "Sir," the young officer said, his voice trembling, "we must retreat. If we stay, none of us will survive." The commander's pride told him to fight. To stand. To prove the council right. But his instincts told him the truth. This war was lost. The humans had turned silence into a weapon. They had turned ruin into a trap. And now they had revealed the blade they kept hidden in the shadows. The secret weapon was not only their machines. It was not only their strange technology. It was their will. A fire no alien could understand. A fury no fleet could conquer. The commander watched as another of his warships exploded in the sky. His soldiers screamed as armored humans closed in from all sides. And he finally spoke the words no alien commander ever wished to say. "Retreat." But even as he said it, he knew it was too late. The humans had drawn blood. The humans had shown their fire. And the galaxy would never forget what rose from Earth that day. The invasion had begun as conquest. But now, it was survival. And the invaders were the ones who would not survive. The alien fleet was dying. What was once a wall of steel and fire above Earth had turned into burning wreckage. Explosions painted the sky red, and broken warships fell like meteors into the oceans below. The commander of the invasion fleet stood frozen inside his flagship. His claws trembled against the metal rail. Around him, officers shouted in panic. Shields failing. Engines destroyed. Thousands of soldiers lost. Every voice carried fear. The commander had never heard his people sound like this. They were conquerors. They had crushed dozens of worlds. They had made empires bow. Yet here, against one broken world, they were falling apart. This cannot be real, he whispered. But it was real. Human drones darted through the skies, moving like hunters in the dark. Their weapons cut through alien armor as if it were paper. Giant cannons hidden in mountains fired again, each beam slicing another warship in two. And then came the humans themselves. Armored warriors stormed through the ruins, striking with brutal precision. They were not reckless. They were not desperate. They fought like ghosts who had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. The young alien officer at the commander's side whispered what everyone now feared. "Sir, if we stay, we will be wiped out." The commander turned to him with burning eyes. "We are the Council's army. We cannot lose to primitives." But even as he spoke, his words were drowned out by another explosion. A massive blast shook the entire flagship as a human strike craft rammed into one of their shield generators. The lights flickered. The walls groaned. The commander staggered. He could feel it. The war was slipping out of his claws. Down below, in the ruins of New York, a small group of armored humans pressed forward. Their leader, a tall soldier with a cracked visor, raised his weapon and gave the command. "Drive them back. Do not let them regroup." The humans surged forward, firing bursts of glowing energy. Alien troops broke formation, screaming in panic. Some dropped their weapons. Others ran into the shadows, only to be cut down by drones waiting in the dark. The aliens had expected weak prey. Instead, they had walked into the lair of predators. In the skies, the alien fleet tried to retreat. Engines flared, ships broke formation, desperate to escape Earth's pull. But the humans were ready. From hidden bases on the moon, more weapons revealed themselves. Missile silos opened. Launch bays roared. A storm of fire streaked into space, chasing the retreating fleet. One by one, the ships fell. Some exploded in brilliant fireballs. Others lost control and burned through the atmosphere, crashing into oceans, mountains, and deserts. Every explosion was a message. Earth would not be conquered. Inside the flagship, the commander finally gave the order he had never imagined. "All forces, retreat. Now. Leave this cursed world." The words echoed through the halls. Officers obeyed, fear on their faces. Ships turned, engines blazing. But retreat was not salvation, it was slaughter. The humans hunted them down. Their drones pierced through retreating ships. Their missiles chased fleeing craft. Their armored soldiers cut down every alien too slow to escape. The battlefield became a graveyard. The young officer looked at his commander with horror. "We are finished. Even if we escape, the Council will know. They will see us as weak." The commander's eyes were hollow. He knew the truth. It was not only weakness. It was worse. The humans had shown their strength. And the galaxy would never forget. "They were silent for a reason," the commander whispered. "They were waiting for us to come." He looked down at Earth, scarred, burning, but alive. And for the first time in his life, the commander felt fear not of death, but of survival. Because if even one alien lived to tell the story, the galaxy would learn the truth. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was the nightmare waiting in the dark. On the ground, as the last alien warships burned, the armored human leader removed his cracked helmet. His face was scarred, his eyes burning with fire. He looked up at the sky filled with wreckage. He looked at his soldiers, blooded but standing. And he spoke the words that carried across Earth, recorded in every surviving machine, echoing into history. "This is only the beginning." The humans had not only defended their home, they had announced their return. And in that moment, the galaxy itself trembled. The fall of the invaders was not the end of a war. It was the start of something far greater. The war was over. But the silence that followed was more terrifying than the battle itself. Above Earth, the sky was filled with wreckage. Alien ships burned as they fell into oceans and deserts. Smoke rose from cities, but human banners still flew among the ruins. The invaders had been destroyed. Yet the humans did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They only prepared for what came next. In the command bunker deep beneath the mountains, Earth's surviving leaders gathered. Soldiers in black armor stood guard, their faces hidden behind glowing visors. Engineers worked furiously on strange machines. Screens showed maps of the galaxy, lines of stars stretching far beyond Earth. At the center of the room stood a single man, the scarred commander who had led the final defense. His voice was cold, steady, filled with fire. They came here thinking we were weak. They thought we were prey. But they learned the truth. Now we must make sure the galaxy learns too. Around him, the room was silent. Every soldier, every officer, every leader listened. "What is your plan?" one of the generals asked. The commander's eyes burned. "We will send them a message. A message they will never forget." High in orbit, human engineers activated one of the captured alien transmitters. The massive device had once been used to broadcast the invaders' victory. Now it would carry a different signal. A signal from Earth. The humans connected their systems, rewriting the alien technology with their own code. The machine roared to life, sending a wave of sound and light into the stars. It spread across systems, across worlds, across the network of the Galactic Council. Every screen, every broadcast, every comm device across the galaxy suddenly flickered. Aliens from hundreds of species looked up in shock as the same image appeared before them. It was Earth. Scarred. Burning. But alive. And then a human appeared on the screen. The scarred commander stood in his black armor, his face lit by fire, his voice echoing in every corner of the galaxy. "You thought Earth was weak," he began. His words were slow, heavy, filled with power. "You thought humanity was broken. But you were wrong." His eyes glared into the camera. "You came to our home with fire and war. You slaughtered our people. You burned our cities. And still, you failed." Across the galaxy, silence spread. No one dared to breathe. The human leaned forward. "This is our warning. If you come again, if you set one claw, one hand, one weapon upon our soil, you will not return. Not one ship. Not one soldier. Nothing." His voice grew colder. "We are humanity. We do not forgive. We do not forget. And we are not prey." The transmission showed the wreckage of the alien fleet burning in Earth's skies. Explosions lit the night like stars. Alien soldiers lay defeated in the ruins. Then the human's voice returned, sharper than steel. "Remember this. Your worst mistake was not invading us. Your worst mistake was letting us live." The screen went black. Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. On council worlds, leaders gathered in silence. The mighty generals who once laughed at humanity now trembled in their thrones. Merchants whispered in fear. Armies hesitated. Because they all knew one truth. Humanity had survived. And survival was more dangerous than conquest. Back on Earth, the scarred commander looked to the horizon. Fires burned in the distance, but people were already rebuilding. Children carried water. Workers lifted stone. Soldiers stood guard with silent determination. The war had scarred them, but it had also revealed them. For years, the galaxy had believed humanity was weak. For years, Earth had stayed silent, waiting, preparing, hiding its true strength. Now the silence was broken. The humans were awake. And the galaxy would never sleep again. High above, in the blackness of space, human drones patrolled the orbit, scanning the stars for the next threat. The secret weapons were no longer secret. Armored soldiers trained day and night. New ships were being built, stronger and faster than before. The humans knew the truth. The invaders would return one day. Or worse, others would come. And when that day arrived, humanity would be ready. The scarred commander stood at the edge of a ruined city. The wind blew ash across the streets. He whispered words only the earth itself seemed to hear. They will fear us now. And if they don't, we will remind them. The humans had defended their home. But more than that, they had declared war on fear itself. For the first time in history, the galaxy realized a truth it would never forget. Invading Earth was not just a bad idea. It was suicide. And so began the legend of humanity, the predators in the dark.